looking at an issue. Politics is in the air, elections are gearing up, and forms are being taken. People are getting ready to contest elections. And then we come with a critical question. How many women are vying for offices? We're looking at the 35% women affirmation in politics. We're looking at the reality. We're looking at the feasibility. We're looking at the possibility. And we're looking at the issues that are connected that can make it a reality or not a reality. This morning, I have two great women, powerful women actually, here on the set of New Dawn. And a little to my left hand, let me begin as a special advisor to the Governor on Education, Science and Technology. She is also the National Director of Women Affairs, APC Professional Council, Mrs. Ronke Shoyombo. Welcome to New Dawn this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, another person sitting very close by is a politician. She's been in the terrain, she's been there representing Ifo constituency. She's been doing a lot of work. Mrs. Olanrewaju Ashabi, welcome to New Dawn.
Good morning, thank you very much.
All right, of course Dominic is here. So we're going to take it off straight away. I want to begin with Mrs. Shoyombo. Elections are getting hot up. Everybody's, how would you rate women participation now? For example, out of all the people who have taken forms at the presidency level, we've not really seen any woman there.
Getting platforms for women to be supported, because it can be very lonely, and also we're propagating that women need to come out to support women, because at the end of the day, men are supporting themselves, and also we also need to actually boost the effort of a lot of our women coming out, and that's something we have started doing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Now I was still going to expatiate on that.
Yes.
But let me take on Mr. Shabi here. You have been on the field. You've seen the environment. What are the basic things, that makes it a little difficult? Because even though we're still going to come to the 35% affirmation thing, but now let's look at the ground level. Why is it that women are naturally not many in politics? We see them singing, but you don't get them. Why?
Thank you very much. I greet you once again. First and foremost, I would like to talk about the marital aspect, the status of the women. It's not every man that wants his wife to join politics, mainly because it takes time. It occupies the woman. You can be called for meeting at any time, and that might be the time when your husband needs your attention at home and the children. So I think that is the first thing that hinders a lot of women in joining politics. Their husbands don't allow them. That's the first thing. And the singing aspect, because of our sweet voices, and but nowadays I see that a lot of women don't want to sing anymore.
Okay.
Most of us that are in politics now want to participate. We want to belong somewhere, not just to sing. If we want to sing, we know where to go. Okay. You understand? So I think the major, apart from the finance, okay, we can still work around the finance, because like the APC, we have subsidized the fees, and most of the time they do subsidize fees, because I can remember during the LG election, when men were paying 50,000 naira for the forms, the women were paying just 5,000. I think it was free. 5,000 was just for logistics or something. So that's part of the encouragement they are giving our women. But our husbands are not really understanding that we have an important role to play in politics and governance generally.
And maybe, your husbands are not understanding, because we are people with very strong roots in culture and religion. But then when you look at both, the culture and the religion, these are settings that have not really given enviable positions to women. Would you say that's also another reason why husbands may not be looking?
In my own opinion, I think where we really need our women most is politics and governance. Not just to sit in the churches or the mosque or the shrines to call on God. And you know, the Bible says heaven helps those who help themselves. We see a lot of women in the churches. It's good to pray, but we need to walk. We can't just sit down and say, God, come, come, come. God is not coming anywhere. We need to walk.
Yeah, I'm saying this because I know that, yes, we have strong roots in religion and in culture. And an African man, knowing fully well that even the African setting has not given pride of place to the woman, to probably in the palace. Even in the church, there is no enviable position that has been given, except recently. Now, having these very strong roots in all of these and strong belief in both, don't you think that has actually shaped or shaping the mindset of the man that women do not really have to be given positions in the society?
That's why we are saying we are pleading with our husbands. It has a lot to do, truly. Our culture and our religion doesn't give, truly. In some churches, a woman cannot, or let me say, the old churches, like the Catholic, the Anglicans, you don't see a woman on the pulpit most of the time. We don't have that opportunity to go that high. So I think we need to look into, this is the 21st century, and a lot of things are changing. Everybody wants a girl child to be, to be in high places too. These are men. They don't want the mothers or their wives to be somewhere, but they want their daughters to be in high places. So I think it's something we need to work on, truly, with our men.
I will still take you up on that, because when it comes to the issue of the home, and the man, the boy, and the girl, the person who takes care of the home is the woman.
Exactly.
She's the one, she domesticates her girls.
Exactly.
She lets the boy go out. So when you want to place the blame on the man, on the man in the house, you must also recognize the fact that
the mothers
actually keep their daughters. But then that's not even, we're still going to come to that. I want to take Mr. Shoyombo on, particularly when it comes to the man in the house. We've had women, strong women. Is it not that we don't have really very strong women? In Britain, for example, we had Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah.
Margaret Thatcher, even men could not silence her. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the environment here, we have Funmilayo Ransome Kuti.
Yeah.
Is it not that we've not really had women who could pull out their chest and say, here I am? Or don't you think?
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. I must say we're in a country where at least 50% of our population is women. Okay. And also, talking about homes, for example, if you're talking about the home, when your wife travels, the whole house is scattered. Okay. I'm sure it happens to all the men. When the woman is not at home, the things we're supposed to do don't always go well. And the same thing applies to the country. In a country where we've got 50% of the population to be women, if we do not take women to be part of the decision making, definitely women will not actually be favored. And there will be so many decisions that we might be taking wrongly, with all due respect to our men. So that's why, to me, whether we like it or not, is something that we've got to bring back to the drawing board. Because you're talking of religion as well. We've got women like Deborah. Okay. Deborah was a woman that actually led the nation. Yeah. So there are so many women out there that are beginning to actually bring out their voices now. And so there's a lot of, we've got so many aspirants. Okay. that I know of. I mean, we can't really mention names now because primaries, we've not done primaries, if you see what I mean. So to me, that's why I'm a bit quiet on that. But at the same time, a lot of women are beginning to come out now. A lot of women are beginning to see that, look, we cannot continue to fold our hands because at the end of the day, the detrimental impact of negative government, of negative governance comes on women, comes on the children, comes on our youth. And it's high time that we as mothers as well rise up to help our husbands. Let's support them. Let's see how we can also come into decision making. Let's see how we can improve the country. We're talking of education. We're talking of a lot of different areas. There are, when men are meeting, you will have priorities. I mean, say for example, you go for men's meetings, sometimes a lot of them are talking about land, they're talking about how to acquire this, how to acquire that. But at the same time, the real thing that really affect the homes may not be discussed. But a woman will look at things like that. So there has to be a balance, there has to be a gender balance in governance.
Well, so some persons may want to disagree with you, I mean, because it's believed that women have huge influence on their husbands, and so most of the times their take on issues are always influenced by, what their wives tell them.
Even some, maybe let me corroborate that, even some husbands who take decisions, when eventually he takes the decision, they will tell you that it is the wife that has made that. So, I just wanted to corroborate what you are saying.
I know we have men like that, but at the same time, I mean, let's not forget the fact that when it comes to talents of leadership or gifts of leadership, the way God has blessed men is the way He has also blessed women. And sometimes we might be actually doing a disservice to ourselves to say we're putting the women behind the scene. I mean, before you used to say behind every successful man there's a woman. You will see that we've changed that to beside every successful man. Because you better don't stand at the back, because if you stand at the back, somebody else will stand beside him. So you've got to stand beside that successful man. And you will see that a man that actually, that is democratic in decision making, that actually puts everything on the table for the children to contribute, that's the youth, for the women to contribute, and for men to contribute, will come out with a better decision than somebody who is just saying, I am in charge, I am taking decision, I am autocratic with my government. And that's something that, because autocratic government, unfortunately, might be doing a disservice to the whole world.
Okay, now how does a woman, or how do women now break through into this terrain? For example, there was this Southwest leadership meeting with presidential hopefuls very recently, and Abeokuta was saying, hey, out of all of this, you didn't want any woman. But the truth is, there was no woman who contested. I'm not standing in for anybody. Now, how do you now mobilize women to break through? Because if there is a barrier, I'm glad, so this question will go to the two of you. How do you now mobilize women to go through this barrier, push through this barrier, and get right into the mainstream? Let's begin with you.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Like, we have a lot of women groups presently, but she mentioned something about women supporting women. I think that's where we are getting some hitches. Women, there is this popular saying that women are the enemies of women. Although our leaders here have been trying to change that narrative. Yes, they have been trying to change the narrative, although it might not be that easy, because still coming back to that. But presently there are a lot of women groups that are working on educating our women and giving them a voice, so that they can also be part of the governance and politics in general. Like that issue of Mrs. Abeokuta is not really, that meeting wasn't for just the aspirants. It was, we had the aspirants and we had governors. Now, looking at it, Southwest governors, we don't even have one single woman. You understand? That's what she was talking about, the leadership. It wasn't just about the aspirants, So presently we have aspirants, but the issue we are having concerning the aspiration of women you know, so that it won't be like women are the enemies of women any longer. There are some women that, you know, politics is also a learning process. It's not just something you come from the blues because you have money or because you think you know one or two people, you want to become the president of the country. No, there are some people that have been working for, you know, for some time, and they have been building on their political career. So, you know, a woman that is not ripe enough to contest or aspire for, or to get a councillorship position in his or her ward will come to say, I want to be the governor of a state. Okay. So those kind of things, you know, when you come to somebody like me, I won't say because you're a woman, then I'll give you my support, because I don't see it flying, because we have other parties. If we present somebody that is not ripe enough, that doesn't have the characteristics, it's going to pounce back on the party. Okay. So that is one of the issues.
But women are working now.
We are. Okay. Yes.
All right. Okay. Dominic.
In addition to, I mean, your response to his question, I also want you to answer. I mean, she said women. It has always been that women are the enemies of themselves. Why is it that? I think you can answer to this question.
Thank you very much. Sometimes I think as women we compete with ourselves so much. We see ourselves as competitors rather than seeing ourselves to complement each other. Okay. So that's something we need to, I mean, that's something we need a lot of enlightenment on. Okay. And that's something we're working on at the moment. And I must also say that in terms of, I want to go into career, for example. You will see that when a man is in a career, you can easily say, I'm resigning in order to go into politics. Because you'll be able to bounce back on the woman to still fend for the home whilst you're going through your trialing period. But a woman who is actually there might not have the confidence. And that's something that I seriously want our house to look into. That can people actually take time off work? Do you see what I mean? Like maybe sabbatical leave or something, so that when they go into politics, should they not be successful, they can come back to their jobs. Because sometimes the fear of the unknown makes a lot of women not to want to leave their jobs. Because I'm talking of the career women now. A lot of career women that are bold enough to want to come into governance. A lot of them can't leave their jobs. They're quite scared about it. And so there is a need to review the law, because I mean, looking at my background, I started politics in England. And with that, you could, I mean, as Labour Party person, you can easily say, I'm actually taking time off my role and then come back to it. So that actually gave better room for people to go into politics. So that's something we need to look at, because the fear of the unknown is what actually finishes women sometimes. And the other thing is, you will see that at the moment, women supporting women, what we're trying to propagate. I mean, recently we invited somebody from INEC to actually come on a platform to come and speak with women. On a platform that I'm talking about, we've got APC, Professional Council of Women, and with that, at the moment, we're about 450 women as I speak, and from about 28 states. So from that now, you will see that, and they are the leaders, because now they have their own sub-platforms where they're bringing in people. So we are seriously propagating that women must come together. Women must look at how we can support each other. But whilst we were doing that, we had trainings on how people should feel their, how they should apply for PVC cards. A lot of women from North needs a lot of support. And people were asking the woman a lot of questions. How do we do this? How do we do that? Then even from Southwest here, a lot of our women don't even have money to go through the process. So there are so many things hindering us that we should actually look at. And that's why women must come together. How can we finance each other? Ordinary 200 naira will make a difference to a woman to go and register. So anything that can help women is something that we're really asking for. And another thing is the public speaking. A lot of women sometimes don't have the confidence to speak outside. And how do you, I mean, those are the kind of trainings that we are bringing into our platform now that, okay, so what's going to be your aim? What do you want to achieve? There must be a goal. Because politics should move away from the fact that somebody can just come and talk to me, oh, I've got the money, I've got the body. Please don't talk to us like that. You've got to tell us what exactly you can offer us. What are you going to offer us? And those are the kind of trainings that we're giving to ourselves as women now, that if you're one of the aspirants, because it's a joy that, I mean, at the moment as we speak, on the platform of where we're about 450, we have about 27 aspirants on our platform. And what we're telling them is, if they all go and come out successfully, it's to the advantage of women. And so that's why we must support ourselves with a lot of empowerment, with a lot of trainings, and we also need to educate more of our women. Because when the INEC lady was actually training us, she actually told us that in the last 6 months, men have registered more for voters' cards than women, because a lot of women they're fed up. And we cannot. We need to change the template. We need to change the mindset of our women for them to come out. We've all got to be part of this decision making. Enough of women just sitting down in the kitchen. Let's come out and do something.
Now we have a challenge. The kitchen is there. The home is there. The husband is there. And, the children are there. What are you also doing to, balance all of this such that the woman who is coming out knows how to maneuver? Are you doing enough training? And by the way, when you mention APC, just make sure you get some money ready for our marketing department from now on. But so once you mention that name, you just make sure you get some money ready. But then let's now look at, do you take time to, how does a woman now, you have your child, you have your home, you have your husband, and you still want to go to politics? How would you advise the women to navigate through those things?
It's on me, sir.
Well, the two of you, we have to, let's look at because these are critical issues now.
Thank you very much. I must say I've joined, more or less, I said I did politics in England, but at the same time, in the last 7 years, I must say I've been part of the government, really. And being part of the government as a technocrat or as a technopole, the way people would always call me that she's a technopole, no matter what you're doing as a woman, you've got to prioritize the home. The home is number one. And every woman must be able to manage the home front, because if you don't get the approval, and I say approval in quote, if you don't get the approval and the support of your husband, you cannot go into politics. If you go into politics as a woman and you don't have the approval, then that means trust will be shaky, because the man will not trust you. Anything can happen. And we also need to educate our women that the fact that you're going into politics does not mean you have to lose your integrity. Because part of what normally makes women to run away from politics is because a lot of our men believe that the moment you go into politics, then you don't have integrity anymore. You can date anybody, you can start a lot of bad relationships and everything. But at the same time, we've got to show that we're women of integrity. We've got to show that we're women of substance, and people have got to know the purpose. So you must be able to balance the home front, your career, and politics, and even your health, because you've got to also take care of your health as well, because there's a lot. Politics takes a lot from you, as my sister rightly said. It takes a lot, because you can have meetings, you can have that. But at the same time, it is for every career woman to know how to balance all this. How do you timetable this? How do you actually give time to this? And also have that anointing to say no, because there will be stages where you cannot compromise your home with politics. So, you must be able to balance it at all times.
All right, madam.
Thank you. I think I'm going to have a little bit of difference in that.
How?
Yes, thank you. The issue of joining politics as a woman and losing your integrity doesn't really have to do with politics. A woman that will lose her integrity will lose her integrity even as a medical doctor.
But let me help you with that one.
No, you know why I'm saying that? Yeah. It is a general belief that once...
No, we're not saying you will lose your integrity.
No, you don't get. I'm just trying to say a woman will not lose her integrity because she's a politician. It's a general belief that once your wife goes into politics, forget about her. That's what most men say. ìyàwó ẹ̀ ó ti lọ ṣe òṣèlú, ó ti di ìyàwó àwọn. No, I think everything boils down to your personality.
Of course.
Okay.
Not what you are doing.
Okay.
Talking about losing your integrity or not taking care of your family has to do with you. A medical doctor, I think, in our general belief in, let me say, Nigeria, we believe that even some homes have problems as when the wife is a medical doctor too. Like the family will be, the wife is always busy at work. Whenever they tell you they are going for night duty, they go there to do other things. So I just want to say our men should, or the general public should just, have a different notion about politics. Politics itself is a career for some people. I know some people that haven't done anything all their life apart from politics. So we can't, the same thing that applies to politics applies to the banking sectors, applies to the medical field, So it doesn't really have to do, a lot of homes have been broken truly because of the fact that the wife wants to go into politics or even has a politician as a friend. Okay. It is that bad. It is a general belief, and it's just a plot to name to give a dog a bad name in order to kill it. That's what I feel. So politics is not bad. I think it's something everybody has to take part in politics. That's my own belief. That's what I tell people. Because this is how we are being governed.
This is our life.
It has to do with every one of us, every aspect of our life, business, even religion that we're talking about. Politics on governance. From politics you get to governance. So something will lead to something. So it's very wide.
Okay. Now, you answered my question already. I mean, I wanted to ask you, quite a number of persons leave or run away from politics because they say it is dirty. And so when that mindset is there, it's very difficult for a man to want to approve of his wife to go into it. But you've answered that already. I mean, it's a thing of the mind, and it should actually be, we should do away with it. But let us look at the 2006 Beijing Declaration, which canvasses for 35% women involvement in governance, both politics and governance. Unfortunately, Nigeria has not come near this 35% since inception, even though we have presidents who have come during electioneering to say we are going to do that 35%, and at the end of the day, they never did anything close to it. And then when you look at even party politics too, and because you said for politics to governance, you discover that we don't get to see women, even in the national executive, the executive, like being vice chairman or publicity secretary. It is one women leader and the rest of them.
And the men are dragging the women leader with us now.
They are dragging.
There's even one, I think
the men want to be women leader.
And then it seems that the men are scared of something. Don't you think so? They are scared maybe when the women are given this opportunity, something might happen. What do you think they are scared of?
Thank you very much. Funny enough, I wouldn't say, because I've worked with quite a lot of leaders, I wouldn't say men are scared of leaders, really. Men are scared of women leaders. Because a lot of, when you look at the back end of successful leaders, they have very strategic women on seat. So that means they respect the wisdom and the gift that women have. So to me, the only thing is, you've said it, we just need to make our women to be bold enough to come out into the limelight, to actually take good positions. But something I'm going to take you up on is the fact that what makes women sometimes to also be scared or to also be worried is violence and fights. Because sometimes that puts a lot of women off. That makes them to take the back seat, that how do we handle this now? A lot of women don't always want to lose their lives. So those are the kind of things that we're propagating now that, something we were talking about on our platform yesterday was women should not be using abusive words on each other. For us to actually have good ethics and good morals. Those are the kind of things that we're propagating now with our aspirants. That as aspirants, you must not use I mean, there are so many things you can talk about on what you want to do with politics without necessarily abusing your other person. So those are the kind of, so fights, violence is something that we also need to find a way to eradicate in our society. Because if we're not careful, those are the kind of things that can actually push a lot of women to the back seat, really.
But some people would say that you politicians are the people who bring on these touts, that you use them. And you use them. I am not, I'm just quoting what people say. Just quoting what people say. You are the people who actually breed.
At that point, the women will say, no, it is the men that are doing that.
So we don't.
But that's why you will see now that we're propagating that it's high time, and that's what has made, I mean, you don't want me to talk about party now, so that's why we have a professional council where we're looking into how we can bring in elites as well. We need more elites in politics. So that with that, a lot of people will see that, look, this thing is something that should be discussed rather than fighting about it. Because the more exposed we are, the better it is for us. And also, people have got to have role models. So even the touts that are going into violence, you will see that when they have role models, when they have people that are actually speaking with them, then you can listen to them, because we've got a lot of our youth. They're very good listeners. They want people that can listen to them. They want people that can understand their needs. And so the more you can actually sit them down and say, let's talk about it, people will argue. We're bound to argue. We're bound to disagree, to agree, if you see what I mean. And that's what politics, that's the beauty of politics. So we're not going to run away from that, but at the same time, we must be able to put ground rules in place that violence and fight must be out of politics.
Now, if you say the men do not have problems with the women and that it is all about the women coming out, just recently, the men actually voted against 5 women-related bills on the floor of the National Assembly. Last year or thereabout, there is this provision that should, create some percentage of women, like a quota for women in the National Assembly. The men actually voted against it.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you think that you need the men to create this opportunity,
to create the enabling
environment for you, and they are not doing so. So it means that there is something about them against the women.
Yeah, I mean,
be careful what you say. You are a man.
So what side are you? Are you on the side of men? I mean, those are the kind of things that we need to look at, and that's why the power of women coming together will make us stronger.
Exactly.
Because that's why we need more women in the house. Exactly. Because when women are speaking, women can easily support each other because they will see that there's need for this. Because sometimes, if you're in governance, really, it can be very lonely for women. You're just on your own. You're making a lot of decisions. Nobody is backing you up. You're just, shouting for nothing. You understand? But if we have, and that's why we will not sit until we have enough women, until we have more women in governance, really. So that's something we're propagating, that let women come into it as well. Give us opportunities as mothers, because at the end of the day, you are making decisions about our children, and those are the future leaders. So we've got to start thinking about children more, and that's why we need more women in our...
Now, before we ram this up, they always say that a woman dresses not to impress the man, but she dresses to impress her fellow women. So how do you deal with this mindset, of the woman, such that you help one another more, and then, you galvanize. And finally, the women population now in politics in Nigeria is just about 6.7%. How soon are we likely to get to the 35% affirmative action? So let's start with her, and then we end up with you.
Okay. Yeah, like talking about the percentage of women in politics, how it can be, or how soon can we achieve the 35%. Like I said earlier, there are a lot of women groups presently. Everything, part of it still boils down to our husbands or the men. Like she said, we don't have enough women. Yes, that's why we are talking about 35%. So not having enough women, you don't have women to support you when you are making your points. It's part of the problems we are having. So like she belongs to some groups too. I belong to some groups. We're educating our women to be more active, to lend their voices, to not to relent. When we keep pushing, definitely we'll get there one of these days. And we would like to plead with our leaders and our leaders to give us the chance. Like my brother said, that maybe the men are afraid of the women. I don't see it that way. What I just feel is because we are less populated. That's the problem we're having. We don't have a large population. You know, when they are making decisions, like you said, all men, nobody is going to look at the women aspect of the decision. You understand? And we have a very important role to play. Important roles. You know, we are closer to the youth, we are closer to the children, we are closer to the market women, we are closer to even the churches, the mosque, everywhere. We are everywhere. So I think they should try and give us a better opportunity to be included in decision making. You know, we already have our women. Somebody like in Lagos, we used to have Chief Mrs. Kemi Nelson. Recently, I've not been seeing her. We've not been hearing from her. So we don't know what might have, you know, happened. Even in Ogun State here, we used to have people like Mrs. Apampa.
Thank you.
We are still hearing from her anyway.
Now let's now get down to your last words now as we begin to cruise on. 2023 is here. What are your last words for women?
Well, 2023, if we look at places like Rwanda, you will see that we have more women in the system, and it has actually improved the country so much. So I'm really imploring all women to come out there and go and get their PVC cards, and let's work together as women. Together, we would actually make a difference. And we want to join our fathers, and that our men should give us the opportunity to be part of decision making for the country. Thank you.
All right, we want to thank our women, great women actually, Mrs. Ronke Shoyombo and Ms. Olanrewaju Ashabi. We want to thank you very much for this enlightenment, and we want to wish you well. We want to wish all the women well. We want to see all your efforts coming to fruition, and we also want to hope that our husbands would allow us, and our leaders would allow the women to, you know, take better positions in politics, and let's get this thing together so that we reach the 35% affirmative action for women. That's the segment for this morning. We still have another segment coming shortly. We'll be back after this time out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.